The Little Nightmares universe has clever and unique ways of keeping things ambiguous, preferring to answer questions with other questions and leaving filling in the blanks up to our individual interpretation, methodically masking the mysteries of the nowhere behind a veil of relentless obscurity. No discernible language spoken throughout the games, wordless stories told through cryptic imagery, and a seemingly senseless world born of a faceless collective. But what if I told you, little ones, that I believe I've managed to decode this hidden vernacular and feel that we can use this knowledge to shed a little light on what's really going on? This is the dialect theory. But first, the obligatory spoiler warning. This video will contain spoilers for Little Nightmares 2 and the Sounds of Nightmares audio series. And of course a huge shout out to legendary Little Nightmares content creator It's Just Jord, whose link I'll be leaving in the description below. He inspired me to create this series, so if you enjoy what I do, then you're going to love what he has over on his channel. Now with that being said, I would like to start by addressing one of the reasons why I find Noon such a likeable and relatable character in the Sounds of Nightmares audio series. And no, it's not just the fact that she's British. Like our unfortunate little friend, I myself have been the subject of neurological studies surrounding frightening and potentially dangerous sleep disorders. Because of this, I've found myself rather well read in the fields of sleep, dreams, and by extension, nightmares. Noon's story has helped us to identify that everything that we've experienced takes place within the nowhere, a world seemingly accessed through sleep, usually by way of being spirited away by the enigmatic ferryman. Now, you eagle-eyed explorers may have noticed that there is in fact material contained within the nowhere that requires reading, and that it seems to be written in some kind of alien alphabet. This was a mystery that I attempted to solve a while ago, way before the announcement of Little Nightmares 3, and the confirmation of the nowhere being a dream world. After systematically combing through these concepts and compiling a list of the symbols used within the game, I then proceeded to cross-reference what I found with every known language, cipher, and hieroglyph the internet had to offer, which, as you may well expect, resulted in my discovery that this dialect is entirely made up. I even went so far as to hire a small team of code breakers and challenge them to unscramble this cipher to help us uncover any hidden messages within the game. Needless to say, they were unsuccessful. But now, thanks to the Sounds of Nightmares, I think I can tell you why. And this is where my experience in sleep studies and dream analysis comes into play. I'll start with a statement that I know some of you are going to contradict. But stick with me until the end, and hopefully what I'm about to say will make sense, because it comes with a twist. Let me explain. You cannot read in dreams. Through dreaming, our brains take information from the real world and transpose it in different scenarios. It's believed that you cannot dream something that you haven't experienced at a certain level, even though it may seem like sometimes you do. You can't dream a new face, and even if you think you do, the new face you see is actually a combination of features from other faces you've seen in reality. The same reason you can't die in your dreams. Our brains are unable to conceptualize death, having never experienced it, and therefore not having the information to relay to your sleeping subconscious. So based on this theory, one can only deduct that reading could be a part of our dreams, since it's deeply rooted in our day-to-day reality. Well, when it comes to reading, things are different. It has been found that reading in dreams is actually not possible. Even though you may see a text in a dream, it's unlikely for it to actually be written in a language you know or even to exist at all. The things we read in our dreams are actually just our own thoughts projected in your subconscious, so sadly, you can't read in dreams. Despite their inability to completely understand the process of dreaming, scientists did manage to find out why you can't read in your dreams. First of all, reading in itself is an activity that launches a process that starts at your eyes. Your optic nerve is one of the first elements involved in reading, and as we all know, it's completely disabled when we sleep. That makes reading in dreams literally impossible. Secondly, Two other key areas are partially shut off when we sleep. Broca's area, which is responsible for articulation and speech, and Wernicke's area, which is responsible for comprehension, structure, grammar, and syntax. These two areas are essential for any reading, visualizing words, and comprehending them. While they're almost completely disabled during sleep, no reading can occur during dreams in any way, shape, or form. There are some exceptions though. It's believed that there are a couple of people who can perform acts similar to reading during dreams. Those people are usually those who handle words on a daily basis in a different manner to most of us. Writers, and especially poets. Poetry doesn't always need to make perfect sense. It's more a liberal art form, where linguistic logic plays a smaller role. Hence, the Wernicke's area gets involved a lot less, and this area of the brain is usually not completely inactive during sleep. In conclusion, unless you're a true wordsmith, constantly thinking about and using words on the verge of obsession to create art, it's highly unlikely that you'll ever be able to read in your dreams. So what does that tirade of information help us to explain about the world of Little Nightmares? Well, it does explain why none of the written words in Little Nightmares make any sense. It explains why, despite coming across hundreds of books, not a single one of them has a title. Why none of the wording in the newspapers is in any way legible, and why none of the letters or parcels found throughout the Pale City contain a single recognisable word. Even the teacher spends her time educating her students without speaking a word, and instead scrawling entirely incomprehensible doodles on the blackboard. The bullies don't even write numbers in the hopscotch grid. And the learning blocks that the children find throughout the Little Nightmares universe don't contain any letters or numbers either, instead favouring the eye symbol that we're all familiar with. Although numbers are featured on some of the clocks, which could be an oversight if this theory is correct, but it's also very possible that I'm wrong about this whole thing. But the evidence largely supports that the dialect we see in the Nowhere must have originated there. But I promised you a twist. Since the release of Little Nightmares back in 2017, we've only ever been presented with one example of legible text in a recognisable alphabet in this entire franchise. And those of you who've paid attention to the thumbnail may already know what I'm referring to. The janitor, also known as Roger, as is evident by the fact that he's literally wearing a name tag. Now, earlier in this video, I stated that the dialect used within the Nowhere must have originated there. And that's because not only did the sounds of nightmares clue us into the fact that the Nowhere takes place in the world of nightmares, but also that people are transported there in their entirety, whether they happen to be wearing their pyjamas, a yellow raincoat, or indeed a name tag. This could explain why Roger's name tag is the only legible piece of writing in the game, because it's the only piece we've ever seen that comes from the counties, or the real world. And why none of the text in the game makes any sense. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to be interpreted by us, the players, the fans, the theorists, and of course, by you. So as with all videos in this series, I'd like to end by reading a few of my favourite comments from the previous videos and addressing them. Like so. Sleepy Hobo says, I have reasons to speculate that the lady is Otto's sister. Why? Now this is curious, and my theory wheels are turning, and I actually thought something like this, or something similar to this, quite recently, but I couldn't really pull together enough evidence to support creating a full video for it. But if you've got evidence to support what you've said, please expand on that comment, or leave me a new one and let me know, or absolutely reach out to me on Discord, because I'd really like to know why you think that. That's a really interesting thought, so thanks a lot for that. The legendary RJ from Casual Hardcore Gamers says, well, it's official, this is a Little Nightmares channel now. Also, with all this rich lore, you really think Supermassive do it justice? Oh, right, I am reserving judgment, RJ, right, and everybody, right, so everyone has their own opinions on Supermassive. I myself haven't actually played any of the games, but I've watched some of my favourite YouTubers, RJ being one of them, actually play through some of these games. While Supermassive's anthology series doesn't really resonate with me from a horror standpoint or a storytelling standpoint or anything in particular really, I do have to commend them on some of the things they've been able to pull off. Can't think of any right now, but But they're a AAA studio for a reason, and I'm really hoping that, you know, Tarsier and Bandai will still be able to influence the direction the game takes. I'm nervous, if I'm honest, but I was nervous when Little Nightmares 2 came out, so fingers crossed and let's see what happens. Thanks RJ for worrying me. Oliver Puffett says, having listened to the first episode of The Sounds of Nightmares again, from around 18 minutes in there's talk of black liquid like smoke, and Noon refers to two bodies coming from the walls and she can't distinguish them between being male or female. They then tell her to be quiet as they point through a wall. At the end of the latest pre-alpha demo reveal, we see a black smoke similar to that coming from behind the mirrors surround Lone Alone in what looks to be that same room that Noon refers to. In the podcast, Noon is then pointed towards a gap in the wall by the two figures she mentions, revealing a woman in chains wearing a dress, working on projects. Noon then goes on to say, her presence alone told me that she was the keeper of the stone giant. The monster baby? ? Could the monster baby be a project of this woman in chains? Absolutely. I'm actually currently thinking about looking into who the workers in the walls could be and their relevance in the Little Nightmares universe, particularly related to the spiral, because although I do think the monster baby could actually be a project, because it doesn't seem to be a living organism, it seems to be more like the mannequins or the bullies. Something manufactured and material that's being controlled by some kind of puppet master. I definitely think that the black smoke is something worthy of note because it's something that's been referenced throughout the Little Nightmares games, usually in reference to the lady. And Just Jord actually theorised that the lady could very well have been the person controlling the giant baby. Or the monster baby, sorry. So rather than have me speculate on that, slip over to George's channel and have a little look at that theory video because it's really, really cool and he deep dives really, really well. That's absolutely some food for thought and I really appreciate your comment. Thank you so much for that. And the last comment is from FB20. They said, this was a really good theory video, but your hair is really distracting and makes you look like the lollipop boy all grown up. Okay, first of all, thank you so much, I really appreciate the kind words. Second of all, you don't know I'm not the lollipop boy all grown up, and if you continue to bully me, I might just go back to my old bully bashing ways. But genuinely, thank you for all your comments, that was hilarious. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think of my thoughts and theories? And of course, what are yours? Leave them in the comment section below because I do enjoy reading them, and who knows, I might be reading your comments in the next video. But until then, that's game over.